when I talk about this stuff, you know, there are so many layers to it. You know, for example, the topic of today, which is crying after sex, and you can put into Google postcoital tryst. Yeah, so there's even a medical name for it, and the doctors have a very various, you know, explanation that it's kind of a normal thing or whatever. You know, I mean, on another layer of looking at it, we can also see that there's a lot of repressed emotions, a lot of trauma around sexuality, both for men and for women, and this is another layer to it as well, that sex can, we can say, can trigger it, it can also release it. So that's another layer, but I wanted to go a little bit more deeply into it. If you're here, I don't know if you're in my Telegram group, but I'm putting like blogs and videos there every day that people can watch, that kind of also keeps you up to date on the topics I'm talking about. So I think you'll find in the pinned post, my Telegram group, I just put an article in there regarding this crying after sex. But I wanted to just go like a little bit more deeply into this, and about looking at like how the body works, and how actually like absolutely amazing and incredible the body is, the male body, the female body. I wanted to look a little bit more at the female body today, you know, and so do make sure you read that article as well. It will definitely help like add to what I'm talking about. And also drop any comments. I'll try and keep an eye out for any comments coming up. Can I just get a 1 if you can hear me, please, in the chat? A 1 if you can hear me, a 2 if you cannot. Someone's saying they get no audio, but I think if you're not getting audio, it might be a problem with your device. So, okay, great. One person can hear me, so it's not my audio problem. So now getting back to genital reflexology, and I hope everybody here has received the genital reflexology worksheet. If you're not, please do stick a comment in the chat, and my assistant will later on come and make sure that you are receiving. So someone here is saying it's very quiet. Can I turn the sound all the way up? Well, I don't think me turning up the sound is going to make much difference. Is anyone else saying quiet? Because it might be your device that needs to be turned up. Anyone else having a problem hearing? Can hear me okay? Yeah. I think you might need to turn up on your end, because it's not really like a volume. I'm just using my phone. There's not really a volume on it. So when we look into like genital reflexology, so as I said, if you don't have the genital reflexology worksheet, do put into the chat that you would like the link DM to you, please. So when we look at this, and when we start to understand, like I think last month, a couple of weeks ago, I did a masterclass talking about genital reflexology. If you haven't watched it, it's in my membership. I definitely recommend to join my membership and watch that, and also other masterclasses. Past masterclasses, for example, I had one about penetration. Also, every month we're having masterclasses, plus you can get lessons as well. So there's loads of information going in there. It's definitely worth like the money that you're paying to get like more details about this. But essentially I was talking about the genital reflexology zones, how the different ones have stored different emotions, but specifically like how they can actually be activated, how these spots, these zones, these areas can actually be activated, so that they can kind of become like living portals for like processing and releasing our emotions inside of the body. And this is like one of the most like incredible things that we can activate within ourselves, first of all, and we can activate with other people, with our partners as well. And do a lot of work with my clients around working around activating the body, so that these zones can become active and they can actually do their job of like clearing blocked energy out of the body, so that we can stay in a really like healthy state of being. Now, I only have a limited time here today, and so what I want to look at specifically is talk about the G-spot. So the G-spot's a really interesting zone, and I think that I find the controversy around it quite fascinating and interesting, and sort of a bit of a telling sign of, I think, how people really just don't understand too much about their sexuality. The G-spot, of course, some people feel it and think it feels great. Some people don't feel anything. Some people find it unpleasant to have it touched. So these are all signs of like the amount of like blocked energy that's in the G-spot, basically. Now, it's well known in Tantra that we call female ejaculation, it can be called amrita, but we can also call it Yoni crying, because when we actually have like the experience of female ejaculation, G-spot orgasms, and so on, it does a huge amount of like, there's a huge clear out of the energy that's been blocked in that spot, the G-spot, which basically corresponds with the liver. So we actually say like the liver, the secretion of the liver are tears. Okay, so like the crying is releasing of anger from the liver, essentially. And because as women we are socialized and we do seem to repress like so much anger, having this like release from the liver is so important to keep us like healthy, because otherwise we get this like massive overload of like repressed angers and frustrations and so on within our bodies. So when two people are making love, and absolutely I don't want to deny the fact that men can cry from sex as well, and it's the same, like a kind of cathartic, like if a man can come to the place where this like amount of tenderness can actually bring him to tears and bring him to like release in this way, is really powerful, really amazing and beautiful thing. And we're going to be talking a bit more about that, I think, on Sunday. We'll be talking about men and emotions, so make sure to be like that you've signed up to that one. I think that my assistant should be inviting you. So as I mentioned, the doctors, the psychologists, so on, they say this kind of crying thing after sex, it can actually be like a normal thing. Now, what I noticed was, before I started doing the Tao practice and activating my body, activating my genital reflexology and so on, I did, sometimes I had like frustration and I didn't cry. Sometimes I did cry from sex, but it wasn't like quite the same as, I think, particularly when I learned to like really be able to like fully release the amrita, the ejaculate, you know. And I was saying earlier about like how amazing our bodies are, you know, and that when we're releasing fluids, in whatever way we're releasing fluids, and by the way, this is something I want to do a live about as well, so men release more than urine and ejaculation. There's fluids men can also release that are not ejaculate, that are not containing sperm really, or urine, that's like another kind of a liquid that men can release. These all like serve to like sort of like balance out our lymphatic system, and the lymphatic system is really important for like, it's basically all to do with the chi flowing in the body. So if you're getting like puffy face, puffy parts of the body, right, especially if you need to cry and you're repressing the crying and you get this like inflammation in your face, basically this puffiness in your face, this is because like this stuff needs to release. And it's very common, and I massage myself like really regularly, as well as like having a regular like female ejaculation practice, to literally keep all the lymphatic that can store up in the lower abdomen, in the thighs as well. So you'll feel these as kind of like lumps and bumps and so on, like stored up, and discomfort, swelling, inflammation, and everything like stored basically by yeah, just sort of in the area around the sexual organs. And one of the things that, like, when I really started having like female ejaculation, one of the things that really amazed me was how, like, you know, when you look at me, there's not like a huge amount there, and this much or more soaking like several towels, you know, and even then going out onto the bed or floor, or, you know, I think once one teacher of mine was actually describing it going down through the floor and onto the next floor below, you know. And very often we find, like, for tantric massage practitioners or people that really like study this release of fluids in women, that there can be like tears at the time or like later on or whatever, like a lot of crying, yeah, because like the body is just going and it's just cleaning out like on this level that's like so deep that you just you know, it's just so incredible. I mean, I think that when we really have like primed our body to be able to like release and have like real like release through like sexual healing and sexual release, like we can almost like get rid of like what we might spend like several years sitting in a psychologist's office like talking about, just to like, just in like, you know, a tantric massage or a tantra session, or you know, but it's not necessarily going to release through having sex or through having a tantric massage unless we have somehow prepared and primed our body in order for this flow and release of energies to basically go about. So I'd like to just first of all invite, if anyone has any questions, to just put a question in the chat. Essentially, like, we actually talk about how different emotions can be actually released through different parts of the vagina. So, for example, like when I teach like the male clients to understand their own sexual energy and their partners, their female partners, or for women to understand themselves, we actually go through and scan through the vagina and find that there's different areas which we can start to activate where, for example, we do think of sadness as we cry because of sadness. Well, according to Taoism and Chinese theory, we say we cry out of anger, you know, and I'm sure you can like relate to that frustrated feeling, and there may be like sadness as well, but it's this real frustration. And when we cry, you know, and the same like it can be with an ejaculate of a different kind, that there's like a release, you know, coming in that moment and at that time, you know, that we just feel like so much like cleaning out of the body, and perhaps like a fatigue is not uncommon afterwards when we have a big purge. And that's why it's like really important, I would say, as well, to actually be able to know and practice the Tao practices in order to refine the sexual energy, so that we're not just losing too much. Because if we, you know, many of us, even, you know, if we just got rid of all our traumas right now today, what would happen is we would be drained. We could be drained to the point we could be like really ill. This is why the body doesn't actually release all the traumas at once, because often so much we're actually operating on trauma energy or blocked energy and so on. So if that's gone, the body will have to be like, whoa, what am I going to work on now, you know? And I do see this with some people that, you know, well, with the Tao practice, we have a very specific way of like working with our body. So we're not just kind of like going, oh, I'm just going to have a full body orgasm, without actually thinking about what this does to the body, because it's something, a full body orgasm can throw the body off of whack, which is why so many people don't get them actually, because it's the body's like protecting yourself, and you're not going to get it if, you know, the body will stop it if it knows that your body can't actually handle that energy, if that makes sense. And the same, yeah, with this kind of practice that we do, we learn first of all how to like stabilize the energy, how to clear out the energy, really how to understand it, so we can learn to actually identify blocks within ourselves, and then start to release them, and literally be able to work through, so we understand the meridian system and understand way the energy works through the meridian system, the organs and so on, so that when we're working with the genital reflexology, we can also actually work with the actual whole body. So instead of it just being a working on the sexual organs without it actually connecting in to the rest of the body, you know, because for example, if we're working on healing and releasing the point for the liver, but there's not a connection, a real conscious connection going up into the liver or up into the heart or whatever we're working on, it can also like cause a kind of like a bit of a chaos and an imbalance into the body. Now, once that we learn how to actually be able to connect in with the points and take this kind of like healing on to like a really, really deeper level, it can absolutely come to the point where we can learn to even like pinpoint certain things that we want to release and actually start to just get them out of the body and release them out of the body without in like a really, what I would just say is like, yeah, like a really conscious, a really intentful sort of a way, you know. So I'm just wondering here if anyone watching, Ryan, hello, has any questions. I'm just trying to find if there's any questions coming. I see 16 comments, but for some reason it's not showing what all my comments are. Yeah, or otherwise, if anyone, I wonder if I can see here the comments. No, it's so strange how it just, people just make a comment, but it doesn't actually show me. So you can also just ask to come on the live if you want to know, yeah, basically, if you want to ask anything. Yeah, so I mean, it's so interesting how this whole phenomenon of like sex and crying and female ejaculation, and not just the female ejaculation that's most commonly known, which is like the kind of squirting, but actually different types of female ejaculation are all seen as being like interconnected in these ancient systems. So Tantra, although most of what Tantra is... Oh, hello? Okay. Sorry if I just disappeared. Yeah. Oh, suddenly I can see those messages coming up. Okay. Yeah. So I think someone tried to call me and it just interfered with the live I was doing. So yeah. Sorry. So as I was saying, that it's really essential for this connection of an hour and a half. He says here before touching and working in the vagina. And I have to say, like, from women that I work with and through my own personal experience, I'll just say that especially for women receiving sex, so receiving into their bodies, you know, our bodies are so delicate, our sexual organs are so delicate, so just receiving in a normal way, that's normal sex that normal people do, can be really damaging to women's bodies, and it can have a knock-on effect. Like, it can really cause problems with the uterus. It can literally cause cancer inside of the body when we are receiving and experiencing just, you know, touch. That I would just say, like, you know, the miracle about the sexual organs is that when we get it right and we 100% understand what to do with it, this can be like such a life-sustaining and incredible, amazing thing to basically like keep us healthy, keep us happy, heal our bodies and so on. But when we get it wrong, and unfortunately we don't even need to like get it that wrong. And what I've also realized from talking to women, and I think this also us women, that we need to stand up a bit about this and actually say when we don't like something, rather than just being like, oh, I don't want to offend him, or I'm upset I'm going to hurt him, or he might, you know, get angry at me or something if I say what I want. We actually need to get into our own bodies, learn to understand our pleasure, learn to really get into a relationship with these miraculous mechanisms that we have within our body, you know. And I'll just say, there is kind of the same thing that when I hear women saying to me, you know, well, I don't like the way he touches down there, but I don't really feel I can say anything about it, which we're not helping him and we're not helping ourselves when we do that. And it's a little bit like in the group when someone DMs you and you don't like it and you don't report it to me, or maybe you say someone did it but you don't want to tell me, you know, it's the same thing. And although, yeah, you know, sometimes ignoring things is a good thing, there's other times where we're disempowering ourselves when we're ignoring and we're not getting into a relationship with our body, we're not understanding our bodies, men as well, when we're not really like, when we're not actually connecting in and really getting to know these amazing, incredible gifts. It's like we have some really incredible like machine that's like more incredible than any kind of like a spaceship or a rocket or anything. And most of us don't actually know what to do with it and don't know how to use it. You know, like science could never create a human body. They can create a spaceship, but not a human body. That's actually how amazing that we are. So if you're wanting to know a little bit more about how to get in touch with your own body, how to start to understand these points, how to understand your sexuality in such a deep way that you can actually be able to, so that you can actually be able to like really, let's say like, you know, really know how to just see, oh, this is going on here, this is going on there, and really be able to identify it and get in control using that sexual energy to be able to heal and get in control of your whole body. Can you give me, I know people put 1s and 2s already, give me a 3, okay? I can do maybe like in a week, next week or something, I can do a masterclass about this. Are you interested to know more about how you can activate these spots like within yourself, how you can actually be able to like really feel like you're actually, you know, in control of what's going on with your whole body? Yeah, stick me a 3 down there. And before I jump off the phone, could you give me any questions that you have? If anybody did want to like jump into the chat quickly, I have just a couple of minutes. So annoying that the phone and the computer doesn't actually seem to give me all of these comments. Yeah, okay, alright. And ultimately, if you want to really know about this, you really want to, because in the masterclass I'll explain about it, but to actually learn this stuff, you need to, I mean, I teach this to people in like a 4-month container. It's not something you just figure out overnight. It's not a quick fix. So if you really are interested to know how do you go deeply into this, I've got a group program going on at the moment, but I'm opening up and I can offer you like an early bird to join into the next group program, because ultimately if you want to get anywhere with this, you want to get the results with it, you need to create a discipline in your life. These are like very, very advanced practices. This isn't going to like a tantra weekend workshop learning a bit about sensuality or something like this. This is about doing something with your whole life and your whole body, where you're completely transforming yourself to be able to like completely be in control of your energy field. So if you really want to know about it, I definitely recommend drop me a DM and my assistant will arrange for you to book for a 15-minute call where I can go a little bit more into the work that I'm doing. I just see you want to hear more about cleansing of the liver. Okay, so interesting. Yeah, okay. So that's a whole topic in and of itself as well. The liver is incredible. I don't know if you watched my Aphrodite activation class, Rain. Did you watch that? Have some great info in there as well. So yeah, I mean, it's like our bodies, like we need to keep cleaning all the time, you know, just the same as we clean our house all the time. We're always needing to clear out stuff. And you know, I spend a long time of my life trying to clean out my body and just being in chaos and not understanding it. But when you start to implement and learn these practices and learn how to like really clean your body out, it's really just like you know, not only do you feel much better, but you have like access to so much energy you couldn't access before because things weren't actually flowing properly. So I hope you've enjoyed this live. Do feel free to drop a comment, just a hi, let me know how you're doing. And if you have any questions about this, you can also get in touch with me via a DM. So have a great, enjoy the rest of your evening, and goodbye for now. And I have the next live on Friday, 5 p.m, talking more about like advanced Taoist practices, which will actually build up a little bit more on what we're talking about today. Good night.